Copywriting is when you persuade somebody through writing. In this video, you'll learn clever techniques to improve the persuasiveness of your writing, as well as the interesting science behind each principle. Part 1, Vividness. People make decisions by imagining the outcome. If somebody is deciding whether to buy a product, this person is going to imagine themselves buying and using the product in order to determine the value of this decision. And that's why concrete words are important. Your words need to help people visualize the behavior. If they can't imagine using this product, then they can't imagine the value that they would receive from this product. So here are some techniques to improve the vividness of your writing. Replace vague benefits with concrete examples. What do you mean by durable? Do you mean the type of material, the weight and heaviness, the ability to absorb impact, the lifespan of the product? It's hard to visualize durability just because it has so many different connotations. So look for any vague words and replace them with concrete examples that are easy to imagine. Or follow this technique in your own life. Don't write study in your calendar. This behavior is so vague that it's hard to imagine. Write a concrete task so that it's easier to imagine and it'll feel more motivating. Tailor your words to the scenario. If a customer is trying on a shirt in a clothing store, a salesperson could say, "That looks great." But this framing is vague. Instead, they could say, "That top looks great, that shirt looks great, that green t-shirt looks great." It seems arbitrary, but the more vivid your language, the more persuasive your words become because they translate into a stronger mental image. Or consider a conversation with customer support. They might say, "I can't add a new product to your order, but you can cancel the current item and then add a new item." But instead of describing these general capabilities, this person should customize the language. "I can't add those jeans to your order, but you can cancel the shoes and then add the jeans." Immerse readers into the hypothetical behavior. Consider this sentence. If you win the lottery, what would you do? Even though this if portion is hypothetical, you're now more likely to believe that you would win the lottery merely because you imagine this event. So if you want your writing to influence behavior, ask readers to imagine themselves performing the intended behavior. If you work with our team, if you create an account, if you watch this course, if you do the desired behavior. Depict information with positive frames. Negative frames depict the absence of events. Our product doesn't leak, has no BPA, won't scratch your car. But these statements are still depicting the unpleasant event, which can often raise more suspicion. Instead of saying that your product won't scratch their car, which forces them to visualize your product scratching their car, describe your product as soft and gentle on their car. Or transform this language into a unique word. Leak-proof, BPA-free, scratch-free. The phrase "doesn't leak" requires an image of leaking, but leak-proof translates into an image of durable material. Symbolize the message in written traits. Your writing has meaning beyond the words themselves. For example, prices seem more expensive in a larger font size. Your brain confuses this large size for a numerical size. And same with copywriting. I found this sentence from a coffee brewer. It describes the process as quick and simple, but the sentence itself is very long. If you want something to seem quick and simple, then you need a sentence that itself is quick and simple. This bold portion is now much shorter, so it communicates the message more effectively. Do you want to communicate a variety of unique features? Then insert a variety of unique words. Do you want to communicate consistent quality? Then repeat the same phrase a few times. Do you want to communicate a fun experience? Then insert words that are fun to say. So those are techniques to improve the vividness of your writing. Part 2, continuity. Your writing should be vivid, but these images should also be part of a single story that unfolds seamlessly across sentences. And that's why active sentences are usually better than passive sentences. Nick threw a book. Here, the action unfolds seamlessly. But in the passive version, a book was thrown by Nick. You don't discover the subject until later in the sentence, so your brain needs to represent the subject with an ambiguous placeholder. Here are some other techniques that can help you achieve continuity in your writing. Constrain your writing to a single interpretation. I found this passage from a kitchen bundle. Read this bold portion. That portion is translating into this image. If your writing can be interpreted in multiple ways, readers need to cycle through these competing images to find the correct meaning. Adjust the distance between words. You group objects that are close together. Here, you see 3 distinct objects, but now it feels like 2 objects because your brain is grouping these 2 objects on the left. Same with words. Oftentimes, you group words into a cluster and then translate this cluster into a single image. Here, you tend to group through and book into a single image. But if we rearrange this sentence, Nick threw Janet a book, it seems like the same message, but here you tend to translate this cluster into a mental image, so this sentence isn't unfolding seamlessly. The same thing happens with prices. When a price is next to a small related word, your brain translates this cluster into a single image. The price will seem cheaper because you're merging it with the concept of small. Always consider the distance between words. If you have a sentence like, customers find that the chair is comfortable, chair and comfortable are separated, so they're more likely to generate separate images. In a sentence like, customers find the chair comfortable, these two words are more likely to form a cluster. So the chair will seem more comfortable because it's merging with this idea. Bind sentences with connective words. Research shows that coherence markers are persuasive. Words like and, or, then, next, but, though, because, so. Just like a single chain link can merge two separate strings into a single piece, these connective words, when inserted into a sentence, can merge separate images into a single coherent narrative. In one study, people were more persuaded by advertising copy when it contained these connective words. So those were techniques to improve the continuity of your writing. Part 3, phonetics. Whenever you read, you hear a voice inside your head speaking these words. It's called inner speech. Generally, this voice is your own speaking voice, but it depends on the context. In one study, people read a passage. If they believed the author was somebody who spoke slowly, it took them longer to read the passage because they were speaking these words in the author's voice, so they were mimicking that slow pace. Here are some copywriting techniques that can help you apply this inner speech. Alternate the phonetic flow of words. People read by speaking words inside their head. If your writing is hard to say, it'll be hard to read. Therefore, you should avoid words with similar beginnings. Sling style seating, and space-saving storage. We could delete style, but the result, sling seating, now repeats the same ending. Sling chairs would be better because it has a phonetic flow of different sounds. We should be careful with the reverse, chairs sling, because the shared S will sound clunky. Delete exclamation marks. Your inner voice has vocal traits. For example, Mary said that she was hungry. When you read that sentence, your inner voice is speaking these words with your own voice. But in the sentence, Mary said, I'm hungry, this version activates your auditory cortex because you simulate the words in the voice of Mary and all of her vocal traits. A similar effect happens with exclamation marks. This syntax will usually backfire because readers need to exclaim these trivial statements in their head, which inevitably will feel weird. By now? Something doesn't feel right, and they might attribute this negative emotion to the decision. I must not want to by now. So those are some copywriting techniques based on the science of how we read.